Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the intro, Chris. I probably won't make you as bullish as Renegade Investor, but I hopefully will inspire you. Just a quick verification. I'm not going to trust. I did it in Madeira. Need to check if you're happy for a show of hands. Any Bitcoiners in the room? Woo! Yeah. I call them pre-coiners, not no-coiners. So people that don't yet have Bitcoin and understand it. Okay. And then also Carlton Town FC fans. Everyone should be putting their hand out, right? So yeah, I know the audience. I didn't know my audience in Madeira. I had to kind of change it. So my name is Coach Carbon. My talk, how do we get the world to adopt Bitcoin? My cousin messaged me when I announced this and said, you can't make people adopt Bitcoin. Like, you can't make people use it. And I said, no, I'm saying, how do we get them to adopt it? So it's going to be voluntary. We're not forcing people to use Bitcoin. We're going to show them how to adopt Bitcoin, okay? I probably will rush through this so you get to enjoy the pre-match. But I am available for questions afterwards. Oh, final thing. Everyone, could you get your phone out or a bit of paper? Write down your passion, please. Again, qualify it. I need to clarify. It can't be Bitcoin and it can't be football. So anything other than Bitcoin and football, please write down your passion or make a note of it in your head. It will make sense at the end. So the 6Ps I coined. Is it 6Ps? It was 6Ps, right? Everyone know the term prior planning and preparation prevents poor performance? Yeah, everyone hear that? I've got a take on that. It's quite ironic today because I came here in my shorts. I couldn't get cover for my classes, which meant I had to do my classes at the gym before I arrived here. The presentation I had ready, corrupted. I had to redo it this morning. So not proper planning, but it's here, I'm here, you're here, which is the main thing. So ironically, in Madeira, Jack Mallers, everyone know Jack Mallers? Very inspirational young guy. Owner of Strike, which is a platform in the States for Bitcoin usage and payments. He did a presentation about Satoshi. So prior planning and preparation prevents poor performance. To Satoshi, inventor, creator of Bitcoin, he, she, they, it, we don't know, had to create time digitally and then work backwards to create Bitcoin. So if I do advise going onto Bitcoin Atlantis website, checking out Jack's presentation and listening to that talk, his take on how Bitcoin was formed, in terms of creating an hour of time with a blockchain that can't be changed and then working backwards to actually create a digital currency, digital money. I'm here at Carlton Town FC because I've been invited by Mitch and Chris. Also, I went to Madeira because I was invited. I'm there and here because of the Bitcoin community, people that have supported me along the way. But we get the world to adopt Bitcoin not by sending them 13 hours of content on YouTube, expecting people to take it on board and think, oh yeah, you're right, the world is going to end. We need to find a digital money or find a money that is better than everything else, which is Bitcoin. Welcome on board. That's not going to happen. I think out of all the people that I've sent those 13 hours to, no one has got back to me and said, thanks for that, coach. Really appreciate that. So we need to find another way to get people to adopt Bitcoin. Passion. He's in the room for the first time presenting this. Aaron Dawn, thank you very much, who coined the term. When your passion collides with your incentives, amazing things happen. So I listened to Aaron speak with Daniel Prince on the podcast, which is why I asked you guys to write down your passion. Passion, noun. Any powerful or compelling emotional feeling as love or hate. A strong, amorous feeling or desire, love, affection. Incentives. Something that tends to incite to action or greater effort as a reward offered for increased productivity. So I'm asking you guys, what is your passion? How can you align it with your incentives to help Bitcoin adoption? So Aaron, there's a tweet that Decentra Suze posted about Aaron cutting hair. So Aaron is incentivized. That's right, mate. Aaron is incentivized to deliver good haircuts so he can get paid in Bitcoin. But also, as part of the adoption, he encourages people who cut hair to be paid in Bitcoin, and he enables that. So passions and incentives collide them. But when your passions and incentives collide, you need to create value, okay? So people that you may or may not know, Sailor, Dorsey, Obi, and Charlene, Nayib Bukele, Mallers, and John Vallis. If you don't know these people, I would suggest finding out who they are. They are providing value in their community. You've got Saifedean, who wrote the Bitcoin Standard, Geyser, you've got Daniel Prince, Play Shamari, who create games, and Papusa Salas in El Salvador. Everybody is using Bitcoin and providing value how they see fit, okay? So what did I want to do? Fell down the rabbit hole in 2020, linked up with Daniel Prince with a learning group in end of 2020. In 2021, March time, we were on a call. There was 13 of us from around the world. John Vallis was on call, and I tell this story to people, and people who don't know anything about Bitcoin, like John who, people in the Bitcoin space know that I was quite lucky to be on a call with John Vallis. And he said to me after I introduced myself, I'm an ex-project manager in construction. I want to provide value back in the space. What can I do? And he said, why don't you provide value in your community? And that's exactly what I did. That moment, that night, Bitcoin Ballers was formed, my way of educating my community. Since then, I've been hosting a quarterly meetup in my local area called Oxbit, a podcast which I'd already started. I integrated Bitcoin with it, hosted it on Fountain, which is a Bitcoin platform, and also started a clothing range recently this year, something that I always wanted to do but never really took the step. But with it is a message about Bitcoin with every single item that's sold. And myself as Coach Carbon, as a brand, I've incorporated Bitcoin as a base layer and built everything off of that. So health, wealth, and life, for me, Bitcoin is the foundation, the sound money that you should build everything off of. So adopting, how do we get the world to adopt it? We need patience. A little quote there for those of you who are religious, but you don't have to be religious to understand what the quote means. Take time, patience to invest in yourself. Understand it's going to take generations. We're not going to solve the world's monetary problem in our lifetime. It would be nice, but realistically, it's not going to happen. It may not happen in our children's lifetime, possibly our children's children, but what we're working for is generational, okay? And also find your tribe. We're all here together, hopefully, because we have a shared belief or shared understanding for all different walks of life, all different experiences, but we've come together. This guy here, Colby, he's a great supporter of Bitcoin Ballers. When I first met him on Instagram, I thought he was an American guy. I thought he lived in the States. He literally lived in the next village. So your tribe could be a million miles away, or they could be literally around the corner from you. So yeah, patience is a virtue. I call it persistence. How it started versus how it's going. So being patient, but being persistent. A friend who I spammed probably with 13 hours of content. Hey, Josias, hope you and your family are keeping well, bro. Congrats on your project's success. Anytime you're doing financial literacy and career mentoring, buddying, which doesn't include crypto, I never use the word crypto, so I know he hasn't read the messages. Please know that I'm up for the supporting, contributing, sharing, and linking. That was, to put a date, 3rd of November 2022. 2 days later. Is that right? I can't be right. It was right. Yeah, 2 days later, I sent him a link about Human Rights Foundation and about fighting monetary policies in Africa, which a lot of countries use the CAF, the centralized African franc, which they use a currency that France doesn't even use anymore to keep them under their thumb. He listened to it, read the content, and sent me 2 voice notes. One was 47 seconds long. One was 1 minute 15 seconds. I can't play it, unfortunately. I said, "Oh man, so pleased that you've listened and enjoyed the episode." So after all that badgering of messaging, he did eventually find something that connected. So all I would say is, be patient but be persistent, and try and find people where they're at. This guy here works with refugees around the world. So when I sent him that, it kind of resonated with him. And then partnerships. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Those who were in mentoring, marketing kind of know this statement. But for me, in the Bitcoin space, again, I'm here where I am because of everyone in the space. So I like to help and support others. Bitcoin runners, Chris mentioned about Orange Collab. I was one of the first users. Guys who are a crowdfunding company, I was the first one on their platform. I did a podcast with them. The Bitcoin bottle. Mine is in the car, actually. But I suggest everyone gets a Bitcoin bottle. It's a nice gold flask, keeps hot things hot and cold things cold. But it's a great way of orange pilling people starting a conversation. But they have recently been acquired by Coin Corner, who I would argue are the best platform for buying Bitcoin in the UK. Is that right, Chris? Would you say so? It depends. No, so everyone has their opinions. But for me, they've been very, very supportive. They actually sponsored my team, Bitcoin Ballers, which I'll come on to shortly. But if you look here, I've done my meetups. I always present other people's projects and products on display for everyone to look at. Here's a few pictures of people I've met. I don't think I've met a nasty Bitcoiner. There are people in the space that may give Bitcoin a bad reputation, but like any networks, they soon get found out and pushed to the side. Bad actors don't last long in the space, but good actors do. Just a few more pictures. These are data for people I've met in Madeira. So what's great about Bitcoin when you start to travel, you have online friends that your parents, your friends and family, your partner may think are your fake internet friends, but you actually get to meet them in person. You get to meet their partners and show actually they're not a weirdo online. We are real people. We do smile and we are quite approachable. The next thing about adoption, proof of work. You can't just spout about Bitcoin, how great it is, and not have any evidence of that. So numbers don't lie. Check the scoreboard. The guy who was ahead of me, Renegade Investor, showed the numbers. For those who are not quite sure about Bitcoin, the numbers speak for themselves. Okay, you can forecast so far. You can break down numbers, but looking at what Bitcoin is, what it's done so far, and know and understand how monetary system works, how supply and demand is. This is why we're here. This is why we talk about it. This is why we go and visit people, because we understand what Bitcoin is and what it can be. So with my project, Bitcoin Ballers Academy, I've put teams in tournaments. I've hosted tournaments. I've been to Amsterdam to host a tournament. I've just come out from Madeira. We have one coming up for a halving event to celebrate the halving, a tournament I'm hosting in my local area. But again, if you have a project in mind, put the work in, and you should see the fruits of your labor in time. So a few bonus P's. We've gone through a lot of P's. I've added some in. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Study, stack, and hodl. So ultimately, we're trying to protect people's purchasing power. My purchasing power, yours, your friends, your family, and your children's children. We know the money is broken. We know Bitcoin is the solution. Our friends, family, our colleagues will soon learn that to protect their purchasing power, they'll need Bitcoin. So the plan B, bit of a cheat there for P, education. We get the education we pay for. That was a quote from Daniel Prince. And if we're creating a parallel economy, we need to create a parallel education system, which is our plan B. Most recently, I've linked with an organization who started off in El Salvador. They educate young people through their diploma. They're called My Prima Bitcoin or My First Bitcoin. And just like Bitcoin, it's decentralized, it's open source, so you can freely go on their website, see the diploma, and share it with people. But what they are creating is what's called light nodes, so people that are approved to teach their diploma, which they will promote. I've recently signed with or launched with My First Bitcoin. So these are two of the young ballers who are starting to do the diploma, learning about football and Bitcoin at the same time. Salvador, when they teach their young children how to use Bitcoin, they go through a diploma, and they actually have award ceremonies where they recently just had one as part of the Bitcoin halving party. And when you look at images from El Salvador and how the young people are taking it on board, not to say that Bitcoin is a guarantee, but I do question how it can be stopped. And again, just a reminder of why we do it. Why we do it, it's not to get rich and make money. It is for the next generation, to give them a better hope, a better chance in the world. So as part of my education, I like to use football and the terminology. So I call myself a nearly man or a failed footballer. I played at semi-pro level, was at a pro club as a youngster, as a trainee, but never quite made it. What I know now about myself in terms of health, wellness, and fitness, but also understanding Bitcoin and the philosophies and principles which I relate to life, I believe I can offer young people a better education in terms of finance, but also football, which they can tie together. So if they don't quite make it in football, they do have, I would say a buffer. I don't like to put price predictions, but if they have a stack that they can rely on, if they don't quite make it, they're not forced to go into an industry that they don't necessarily want to do. And like myself, 15 years later, find out I should never be here. I should have been doing something else. But we live in a fast culture where we have to get on the rat race as soon as possible, and it's very hard for people to get off. Shout out to Baller Frankie. He was the first Bitcoin baller who I signed up. If you go on my site, you'll see him doing all the videos, all the flagship games. He's only 13 years old, but he has his own QR code, has his own wallet. He recently was in Japan, also last year, went to a football tournament in Japan. He had a QR code. I was posting his stuff on my socials, and people could scan his QR code and send him sats. He's adopting Bitcoin. He's using Bitcoin. He knows how wallets work. He's ahead of probably 99% of the world. Here are three of the young ballers who have signed up as part of a collaboration with IBEX Pay, where we talk about value for value and stats for stats. What I ask them to do is go out and perform each week with their performances, their videos that they send me. I then attach the QR code to it. Who are two of the ballers? Baller Carbon, my son, much better than me, and his friend, Baller Humphrey Ewers. They both play National League National League for Oxford City. This is them doing their proof of work, peer-to-peer challenge. Again, using the terminology, getting them to understand and relate Bitcoin to real life. So when they go out and learn more about Bitcoin, they think, oh, I can understand that, I can relate that. This video actually went on for 2 minutes and 30. So if we have a pair in here that want to challenge for that title, feel free. Going back to the QR code, sorry, is Zebedee in the room? I saw somebody with a Zebedee t-shirt earlier. Super keen to catch up with them. If you're not aware, there was a league system for the players today playing, which you can scan QR codes and tip them for their performances. This is another way we get the world to adopt Bitcoin. Most people know how to scan a QR code. We had COVID, the pandemic, where QR codes are prevalent. People know how to scan it. They know how to go to the next step. Chris, you had some young guys doing flyers. I tried to get in the slide. Unfortunately, I didn't. If we can get their handles up, so literally a email address, which links to their Bitcoin wallet, we can tip them some sats. They may not know anything about Bitcoin, but they know what an email address looks like. They know how to use a mobile wallet. For their proof of work, for delivering flyers to get people here, they can be rewarded from anyone across the world. There's no... Yeah, I thought they think they got quite a bit. But what I would argue when people say, oh, Bitcoin's this, Bitcoin's that, there's no other technology that would allow you to do that without a third party stepping in saying, can't do that. Now, these tips might be less than the penny, or it could be £10, someone feeling generous. But tell me how else someone from the States can tip a young 12-year-old boy with £10 using current systems without someone raising flags. So another reason why we should Bitcoin. So to finish, we should all have goals. So how do we get to world to adopt Bitcoin in 2 minutes, 18 seconds? This is my mission.
How do we get the world to adopt Bitcoin? Or how do we show the world what Bitcoin is about? Because Bitcoiners get a bad rep in the mainstream media. So I owe where I am right now to the community. You mentioned Sailor and Breelove. I watched the 10-part series and my mind was blown away. And I knew from there, the Robert Breelove's Masters and Slaves of Money, then the 10-part Sailor series. I did send to my friends and family, maybe it was a bit too much because they're never going to watch 13 hours straight. They have to be in the right frame of mind. But so I mentioned the project I have coming up, and I'm grateful for the Bitcoin community because, again, I wouldn't be here without them. So we have an opportunity as Bitcoin ballers to play in the world's biggest 7v7 tournament. So my plan is to get to the tournament in North Carolina in June with the Bitcoin ballers shirt, the Bitcoin logo, and hopefully a big corporation, Bitcoin-only company on the front, and say this is what Bitcoiners can do. So my pinned tweet says, Bitcoin ballers will win TST 24. I put that tweet on the final of the 23 competition because I thought to myself, I'm going to make it happen. So we've got 1 foot on the pitch. We just need to secure the sponsor to get there. But on my pinned tweet, it says, if enough people believe in it, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Satoshi's quote. And again, me having the ballers, that came from a conversation with John Vallis with Daniel Prince. Then me having been able to put teams in competitions, that came from Corn Corner sponsoring me. Bottle Pay, when they were around, they helped out a lot. And I mentioned the Bitcoin Bottle company, Play Shamaree of Help. There's so many people that have supported my project, again, for no real gain for themselves, a little bit of exposure, but I'm not offering massive exposure. Whereas now I can offer lots of people global exposure. Over 1 million views they're expecting for the tournament. It's like, I want everyone to come on board. If one wins, we all win. So shameless still, but I want to give everyone the opportunity to say we can help give a positive light on Bitcoin through football, the universal language and universal money. Universal language, football, is sport, and universal money. What better combination to come together? And so everyone come on board.
Nice.
And let's do this. Let's orange pill the world.
Yeah.
So that was my 2 minutes, 18 seconds shill of the project I'm working on. But the reason why I played that is to show within coming up to 3 years now, what started as an Instagram page after a comment, now having an opportunity to play in the world's biggest 7v7 tournament. to win $1 million. I would never have dreamed that of happening when I started, but that's where I am. And with your passion, who knows where you could be in 3 or 4 years. So this is the tournament. Each day that goes by, I have less chance of getting in, so I am still after a sponsor. So if anyone knows any whales that has a spare Bitcoin or two that could spare. But my mission is to get the Bitcoin logo on TV in front of millions of people to show what Bitcoiners can do when we come together. And it won't be us playing as Bitcoin ballers, it will be us playing as Bitcoin, okay? So there are notable players who have committed to play for us. So right now, I think they've announced 28 teams out of 48. So there's still a space for us. They announced Aguero, for those who are football fans, from Man City. He's coming out of retirement to play a team. Balotelli's playing. And for us to be in the mix of that as Bitcoiners, I think it's a fantastic opportunity. But being realistic, if we don't quite get there, it's been a fantastic journey. Our name's out there now. So going back to your passion, find out what your passion is. Go back to the text or the message you just wrote or bit of paper or the thought in your head. Think about how you can align your incentives to promote Bitcoin. Feel free to reach out to me. I coined the term. I stole it actually from Netflix, for Prime, all or nothing when they do their football series or sports series. For me, Bitcoin is all or nothing after looking into it and understanding it. People that don't know Bitcoin might think it's a bit much, but for me, literally, there's nothing else out there that can offer the opportunities, the education, things I'm talking about now with new friends. My old friends, some of them aren't interested, but it takes you on a rabbit hole, and no one can define your rabbit hole journey. You can diverge and go down so many different ones. Just enjoy the journey. Reach out to people. Again, I'm here where I am right now because I reached out to people. Getting into that tournament was literally me spamming their Twitter account with DMs, tagging them, where they got to the stage where they thought, let's speak to this guy. What is he on about? They liked what I was doing. That's part of the patience, but also persistence. So if you're patient, just sat there doing nothing, nothing's going to work. But if you're persistent in your actions and your proof of work, you're going to produce something. So again, QR codes, Nostra, Instagram, the Geyser. If you'd like to tip to help me get to my goal, support some Bitcoin ballers. But any questions, please reach out. Always happy to speak with people. Thank you very much, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a round of applause for Coach Carbon? Thank you.
Sorry, one last thing. Renegade Investor, 21 slides. Well done. Another round of applause. Those that understand Bitcoin.